Pressure, a concept many people dread, but one that is often misunderstood. One of the most devastating effects of pressure is choking on it, and it's something that every single person in this room has experienced at one point in their life. However, it does beg the question, what even is pressure, and can it make or break a person? Well, with that being said, I would like to define the textbook definition of pressure being the use of persuasion, influence, or intimidation to make someone do something. Pressure is like a two-lane road ripe with congestion, but it can be widened for our benefit. However, before we can widen this two-lane road into 4 lanes, let's examine how this road has been so far. So this is a picture of my room around last year when I was trapped in a spring term with 3 AP classes, 1 single honors class. It looks messy and disorganized, as any teenager's room should. No, my true reason for airing this dirty laundry is to show how choked up on pressure I had been at that time period. To say I was, well, under pressure is an understatement, because I strived for all A's and accepted nothing less than a 95% at that time. I'm not kidding. I was that cutthroat and trying to do well under pressure. I rejected all the help that my parents, my friends, everyone that offered to me. I rejected all of their help. I thought that by rejecting all of their help, I could survive well under pressure, doing the best Jeevan that I could be. But in doing so, I tried to also make my car drive through all the hailstorms, avoiding the lightning strikes that tore the terrain around me. But instead, my car suffered through so many breaks, dents, and damage, to the point that it's a miracle that my car ended up in one piece at the end. The only reason I can still drive my car today, is because of a newfound consciousness that began to grace my mind. Now, we all deal with pressure, both external and internal, and many people fall under the misconception that pressure is like a straight line in motivating oneself. Well, the reality is that experiencing pressure and pressuring yourself will not make your journey a straight line. The reality is that pressure is like a long and winding road, one that's frustrating and dangerous. They'll be driven through and triumphed. For instance, let's think about the greatest pressures that people experience. Now, pressures don't just have to come from family or friends. More often than not, it originates through society. Within the US, one of the biggest societal pressures comes in the form of one of our country's biggest divisive activities, politics. Now, politics has always served as an ugly battleground for many different types of pressure, especially among loved ones. Now, even though there are many different political parties across the spectrum, such as the Green Party or the Libertarian Party, we as Americans have become so accustomed to choose only the Democratic Party or the Republican Party lest we waste our votes. To put this better into perspective, imagine yourself driving on a road, and you're coming up on a town with about a dozen different restaurants, some local and some fast food. Even though there are multiple different cuisine options available, most people tend to choose the fast food options versus the local options. You feel pressured by your family, by your friends, by yourself to choose one of these restaurants. And in the end, you choose one of the fast food chains, completely neglecting the other 11 restaurants. So what this political discord reveals is that societal pressure will always exist to pressure those who haven't yet agreed on a particular ideology or stance. Being an upcoming 18-year-old with the privilege to vote soon being granted to me, I understand this societal pressure far too well. However, my parents taught me to not bow down under the pressure of others, and instead focus on my own perspective. On that note though, the worst pressure of all, where do you think it originates from? By a raise of hands, how many of you say your family? Your friends? Your coworkers? Well, you may be surprised to know that your worst pressure comes from right here. That's right. Your worst pressure comes directly from you. Put this better into perspective, imagine yourself swimming in a pool, and with the encouragement of your friends, you decide to see who can hold their breath underwater the longest. It's a very innocent challenge. but it's one that speaks volumes as soon as you just remain underwater. Now, as you stay underwater trying to beat your friends, your body tells you that you need to resurface and breathe in more oxygen. But your mind tells you that you want to win this challenge against your friends. So what do? Well, at the end of the day, you need to find a way to harness that internal pressure within yourself and make the right decision. That being getting out of the water for your own safety. Because pressure isn't designed to break us, but more to make us. We need pressure in our lives, for it can be extremely beneficial rather than detrimental. So, for example, on a personal note, I needed pressure in my life to help find a part-time job to both earn money for myself, while also finding a pleasure in my life that wasn't academic related. At the start of this rather tumultuous journey, I blame my parents for pressuring me to get a job after a rather uneventful and wasted summer vacation following my junior year. Soon, though, I realized just how wrong I was in blaming them, when the finger should have been pointed straightly at me. When I was finally hired by a fast food company called Raising Cane's, I realized that the different aspects of my life needed to be balanced if I were to succeed. So eventually, I created a free way to balance pressure, balancing the boulevards of pressure that basically were all in my life, being work, school, and my social life. You may have noticed that my family is not on this flowchart, and that's because I view my family as the biggest balancing factor in my life. You will always have at least one factor of pressure that can always help you in the end. And for me, my family, especially with my parents, have always been the most beneficial source of pressure that I need to help me. So yes, the road to pressure is long and winding, but if you can find that freeway to balance the pressure, well, you can flow through traffic calmly, getting through the congestion of all the negative pressure that surrounds you. If you can take control of that steering wheel, as I did, well, that road can become a clean slate to your destination. I would like to redisplay my bedroom once more to show you the difference between a room where pressure breaks you and a room where pressure makes you. Of course, doing pressure will take time and effort. It's not a straight shot. And I know that my journey is far from over. But as long as we have courage in ourselves to change, to not buckle down under pressure, we can go on this road and go on the avenue to the very end. You have the keys in your hand, and you're sitting in the driver's seat. The question is, are you ready to press your foot on that pedal and drive? Thank you.